I've felt, what I've known, never shined in what I've shown, never free, never me.
So I dub the Unforgiven.
Good one, boys. Let's hit it.
This team loves to win ugly. Winning ugly gets you to this point.
Takes the snap on third down. Rodgers waits, throws, right side, got a man wide open. Touchdown, and it's Robert Tonyan again. Aaron Rodgers with his 4th touchdown of the game.
It's going to be a good week for the Green Bay Packers. Getting a chance to move on.
One more to go. We'll talk to you next week.
We'll talk to you right now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Illusion of Complexity. We are back on a special Wednesday episode because Thursday is Thanksgiving, and we imagine that we wanted you to have a chance to spend time with your families and watch the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington football team, the riveting matchup that is the NFL. I know you guys are all in on that. So I'm your host this evening. I am Jacob Westendorf, and I am joined by the incomparable, as lovely as she is hilarious, Erin Alice. Erin, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a little hungover, but I'm good.
It's
I know. I got drunk last night. I watched The Big Lebowski and had like 20 White Russians. So
if there is anything that ever explains unemployed in a pandemic,
right? I got nothing else to do.
I think we just hit it.
Right, someone hire me, please, God.
Yeah, right. You guys, it's your guys' loss every time you guys decide not to hire her on a given basis.
Right.
Just don't take her away from me. That's all I ask. And then on the lead vocals and shredding guitar, of course, we have Zachary Jacobson, or I Am Zach, much like I Am 12. Zach, fresh off of a incredible week of doing whatever it is that you do. I don't know. I kind of got lost on what I was going to say there. So, Zach, how are you?
I'm good, man. Don't feel bad. I get lost about like every day of my life. I have no idea what I'm doing anymore, but I'm good. I'm here with you guys, so everything's good. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to pretend to sing every week, because I know I suck, but you know what?
No, it was good.
I'm horrible.
Don't lie to me. All right.
The problem is we're running out of songs because there aren't a whole lot of things I can sing, and almost none. So we're running out of a lot of stuff. We have a special guest in the house tonight. And you may know him on the tweet machine as the BuffLlama.
Now I feel really bad. Bad llama.
So I will be using that anytime he says something mean about the Green Bay Packers, which honestly, Llama, you're not that far off from being a Packers fan. There's like a couple turns one way or the other, and you really are on the good side as opposed to the poor one, but it is Packers and Bears week, and we thought you'd be a perfect fit as our first ever guest. So welcome to the Illusion of Complexity. Thank you for joining us. I hope nobody eats llama for Thanksgiving, so you don't have to be looking over your shoulder like that.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much.
And for those of you that are wondering at the top of the show, yes, we will be referring to him as Llama exclusively throughout the remainder of this show. So those of you that know him, obviously Llama is a Bears fan and loves all things smoking Jay Cutler. So I am with it. And I too, he's the 4th best quarterback in the history of the Green Bay Packers. I worship the ground that Jay Cutler walks on. One of my favorite stories that has been told was by a friend of the show, Ivan Carter, who's a Vikings fan. Told me he was I don't remember where he was, but he was walking around and said he saw Jay Cutler driving his car one day. And somebody said, "Oh, Jay, you went to Vanderbilt. I went to Vanderbilt too." And Jay just like cut him off in the middle of a sentence and basically said, "I don't care," and drove away. Like, which is like quintessential Cutler, like 100% smoking Jay right there. So that's wonderful. Llama, if you can help us out a little bit, tell us who you are, where we can find you on Twitter, and how you kind of got involved with us idiots.
I am a ridiculous Bears fan, which would surprise you because it seems like 90% of my following now is Packer fans. It's very odd. I'm on Twitter at JDizzyD. And my plan kind of backfired. I was trying to build a Packer following, so the Bears were coming off the tail end of 2018, and we would be good, and then I would have a whole following to brag to, and then things took a nosedive. So
yeah, it's not good now. So,
well, my condolences. I do appreciate the fact that you're a good sport, although this is the first time we've been followers and friends during Packers and Bears week. So I suppose maybe I don't know that you're a good sport. I suppose that's subject to change. That could be.
Talk to me at halftime. Talk to me at halftime.
Well, I will tell you this. I do have a rule. I do not talk shit during or shortly thereafter the game to the opposing fan. So you, at least from me, I can't speak for everyone else. And I apologize ahead of time if there are certain, I know we're all thinking of the same person right now that may very well be in your mentions. So
yeah, definitely.
So that's where we're at on that. And everybody just kind of had the, oh shit moment. So it took them a minute.
well, it's actually funny that you say that because we want to talk Bears Packers. A couple years ago, I have some friends. His name is Eric. I've known him for a long time, and we made a bet, but I still have not gotten paid up on. That he would just have to like wear like a Packers jersey and put it like as his profile picture for a week if the Packers won. And this was in 2018, week 1. And so at halftime, I got a message from him and it said, is the bet still on? And what was it, like 17-0 at that point? And I was like, yes, the bet's still on. Like he was being all cheeky and talking shit. And then all of a sudden Rodgers comes back, makes the comeback. And so at the end of the game, I'm like, is the bet still on? Don't talk shit during a game.
So yeah, Llama, have you ever?
Rodgers has gotten me off of that, by the way. I remember that game. I think it was 20-0 or 20-3 or something.
Both.
I remember going to the bathroom and I was staring at the mirror and I was like, this is not going to end well. I don't think it never does. And then I came back out and we started watching the second half. I think it was like 8 minutes or so in the third. Rodgers came back out and I was like, yep, I knew this would happen. And it did. So
God,
yeah, I would never talk shit like that. Ever.
The fatalist nature of a Bears fan that just, even when it's 20-0, you can't enjoy leading a Packers team 20-0 just because you know who's on the other side of the field. That's crazy that it's been that way for as long as, well, because now most of us, I assume we're all the same age. So for the most part, if you were born after 1992, the Packers have beaten the Bears 13 times total, I think is the number. Officially, I can get that number officially from Historic Packers, our guy Michael Benson. But Erin, don't give me that look. I said mostly because I don't know how old the llama is, and I don't know how years work in llama years. So
I know. I thought for sure there was an old joke coming there, and it didn't. And I was like, oh, they're the same age.
Yeah,
I know. Zach and I both were like, what?
There's gonna be a punch on. Yeah, we both looked at each other like. What did you do with Jacob?
I'm in a giving spirit, guys. I'm officially recovered from COVID, and it's Thanksgiving week, so I am in a giving and a happy mood, and it's Bears week, so I'm going to save all the jokes for our Bears fan friend here because I feel like that would be the appropriate thing to do. So let's start there, guys. Llama, catch us up. Tell us about the Bears and how. Obviously, we know their record; they're 5-5, and how it started, how it's going. How did we get here?
Well, it started at 5-1. It seems like in my memory. And at 5-1, I've said this a million times. It did not feel good. 5-1 felt horrible. And I just remember having like this sinking feeling in my stomach going, yeah, you're 5-1 and you know, things are going okay so far. The record says, but the offense just has never felt good, even since the very beginning of the season. And then I slowly watched that record dwindle away now to 500 and coming off the bye, which we usually play bad off the bye, I believe. Now we've got the Packers who are freshly pissed off. So this is just, it's not looking good, man. It's a foundational issue, and Zadarius Smith is a good player, unfortunately, and I feel really bad about this game. Really bad about it. I don't feel good about it. So,
and I do have the official numbers here. It is since 1992, after last season's second game at Lambeau Field, the Packers are 42-15 against the Bears. That's 73% for those of you that are mathematicians, and that includes the playoffs. So that's wonderful. Start here with, let's go with the quarterback situation. Obviously, coming into the year, I called it the best of two bad options between Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles with what their quarterback battle was going to be. What were your thoughts on the timing of benching Trubisky, and obviously if they're going to go back to him now?
I thought the timing was fine. I mean, he's in his 4th year, and he was playing Atlanta, which is one of the worst defenses in the entire sport. And he just threw an interception. I think they were down. They didn't have a point, I don't think. I think they were down 16-0 if my memory serves me correctly. And that ball was almost taken back for a touchdown, which would have ruined my entire Mitch has never thrown a pick 6 thing. I like to joke about that.
And Aaron Rodgers has. So, I mean,
yeah. Hey, I got a lot of attention for tweeting that the game before last. But it started out in Detroit. He had a really bad 3 quarters, and then he came out and had a really good 4th quarter, which is usually what he does. And then against the Giants, he had a good half and then a bad half to finish it off. And then was abysmal versus the Falcons. So I didn't have a problem with him going to Foles. I thought he should have started to begin with, just because he has an upgrade in the mental game. But now everybody wants Mitch back. It's like they've forgotten about his 44 starts of crap, and now they want him back starting again. So it's really going to be. We might see 4 quarterbacks play for us coming up here. I mean, Slaughter, I think, is on the team now, and Tyler Bray, look out. He's like a superstar in the wings waiting. So we might see 4 quarterbacks. I genuinely have no idea. With that offensive line, Matt Nagy might have to suit up at this point and come in, because that offensive line is awful. Just
now, there's something awful. I would pay to see is Matt Nagy suiting up to get his teeth kicked in a little bit. That might be
with that O-line.
Now, is there help me out a little bit when it comes to Trubisky, because obviously the natural inclination for anybody, it's no different when Jordan Love, if and when Jordan Love becomes a starter, I'm going to buy in all the way. And there's at least empirical evidence to support that the Packers, and a Packers fan that's my age, is entitled to Hall of Fame quarterback play. So at least makes some sense. But were you ever sold on Trubisky, or at any point in his 3.5 years as a starter?
At moments, yeah. His rookie season, John Fox was there. He was on his way out. Football had completely passed him by. He had good moments in his rookie season, but it was really inconsistent. 2018 was, that game against Tampa Bay. I can't remember a moment where I've been more happy, other than the Cutler years, where he just came out and absolutely torched them off the field. And at that point, I was thinking, okay, you might have something here. And then he had, the Rams game that year was awful, just horrible. I think he threw 3 interceptions and had like 110 yards. He was terrible. I think it's just so inconsistent. His highs, you want to believe that's where he can stay, but really where he's stayed most of his career is very low and just really bad play. And it sucks. Having somebody that would, because the Bears do not draft quarterbacks in the first round. It just doesn't happen ever. So having him not work out is painful, but you can't stick with him, man. You can't keep going with him. He's not working. So yeah.
That's part of why it was so surprising when they picked Trubisky when they did. And I don't know if you knew this, but Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes were on the board.
I have not heard that.
That doesn't sound right. Are you sure?
I believe that is what happened. And Patrick Mahomes actually won the Super Bowl last year for the Kansas City Chiefs. So that might be a guy that you might want to look into. So
yeah, I think you're the first person to ever point that out, by the way.
It could be. It's actually kind of interesting. So at the time of that draft, I was working for a blog called Windy City Sports. One of my friends was working that out. And I had basically written an article saying the Bears need to pick whoever they think the best quarterback is and pick him at 3, I think is where they were. Because they traded up the 1 spot to get Trubisky. And I said they needed to pick the quarterback. And I remember, and I don't know how you felt about this, Llama, but the comments were vehemently against. No, you don't pick the quarterback. Pick the player. Basically what the Bear fan base wanted to do was build the roster around the quarterback and then pick the quarterback after they got the roster set up. What were your thoughts at the time of not the selection of Trubisky specifically, but the idea of picking the quarterback when they did?
I was super high on Mahomes, like something about him. Cause honestly, no, there's something about that's why I like Jay Cutler so much. Just, screw it. Somebody's down there somewhere and throws it. They just, no hesitation. That's why Favre, keep this between us, is like my favorite quarterback of all time. Even though I'm a Bears fan, that dude would just, hey, there's the smallest window possible. I'm going to fit it in there regardless. And half the time he didn't, but the other half when he made it, it was great. Mahomes is like that dude that he just like a natural talent, would just chuck the ball 80 yards, not even, without even trying. Going into that draft, I didn't even think they were going quarterback. I thought, Solomon Thomas was a guy that San Francisco was looking at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So when they traded up for one spot, I was like, okay, trading up for Solomon Thomas. I mean, I guess San Francisco is going to take him, so you had to do it. So I didn't even think he was on the radar to take a QB at all. I think Jamal Adams was in that group too, and I was pounding the table for him. Worked out. We ended up getting Eddie Jackson in like the 5th or something. But quarterback wasn't even on my radar. So it really surprised me when they took him.
It worked out in the fact that, at least from what I think, that Solomon Thomas stinks. So, I mean, they didn't trade up to get him. I think they had the right idea not taking Jamal Adams because, like you mentioned, they got Eddie Jackson later, who's a better player and plays a more valuable role in that deep rover type of safety. And obviously it just stinks that they took the wrong, well, for you, not for me, I'm elated, but that they took the wrong quarterback. But I just remembered that. So I wondered what your thoughts were on that. Guys, I'm doing all the talking and asking all the questions, which is rude as hell. So I apologize. Do you guys have anything for our guest of honor here?
I mean, I'm just happy to be here.
That feels like something we told you to say before the show.
It sounds like it, huh? It sounds kind of scripted. No, I'm enjoying the discourse and the banter, and I like hearing Llama's perspective. I like, because I don't talk to very many Bears fans, and a lot of the Bears fans that, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like Aldo Gandia, who ran the Bears bar room for a while. He gave me my first writing opportunity. One of the best Bears fans I've ever come across before I met Llama, of course. One of the nicest dudes ever. I mean, that was like my first and like one of the only really exposures on a personal level that I've had with a Bears fan. So I think a lot of Packer fans just have this immediate knee-jerk perception that the whole fan base, because it's a division rival, they're all just like shitty people. You can't associate with them, you can't bond with them, you can't talk about football with them. And I think that amplified too, because there was that EJ guy on Twitter.
Oh my god!
Yeah. I'm a Bears fan, and I have that reaction about him.
I forgot about him. Oh man!
Yeah, he kind of dropped.
I think the Superfan skit from SNL is probably what a vast majority of people think of when they think of a stereotypical Bears fan too.
Well, and I think I have a different perspective than a lot of people too, because I live in Chicago, and have for a while, and grew up in Chicagoland. So, I mean, when you say like, oh, you can't associate with them, it's like, oh, like all of my best friends are Bears fans for the most part. And, we try to be civil because I'm not a big shit talker unless someone comes at me. Like, I don't initiate it unless it's just like some joke in general, but I don't target people. So my friends basically, like, some people we can just have a nice civil conversation, but a lot of it is like they have a lot of bias and stuff. And so I appreciate like Llama is a very realistic, and that
I appreciate the fatalist nature of
it's a little more borderline, a little extreme, but it's hilarious.
That's what makes it funny though, is like exactly kind of help you turn it into a stick. Here's something I want to get to. Here's my thing. I also live in Bears country. Actually, Llama and I live 20 minutes apart. We didn't know that when we met, but now we do. My thing is, I actually have gotten along with Bears fans. I respect the tradition of the Chicago Bears. Obviously, the Packers don't exist without the Chicago Bears. There's that whole story. George Halas, Vince Lombardi, and Curly Lambeau, and just the history of their linebackers and Brian Urlacher and Dick Butkus and Lance Briggs and Mike Singletary and Walter Payton. And I can name, they have the most Hall of Famers in the history of the sport, all that stuff. I fucking hate Minnesota Vikings fans.
Yeah.
And it's much more like, it feels like there's this respect between, like, if I saw you in a bar on Bears Week, Llama, we would like dap each other up and be like, hey man, good luck. Enjoy the game.
Right.
Whereas if I saw you when you were a Vikings fan, you would like throw, here's my natural story about a Vikings fan. Cause I've never been to Soldier for a Bears game, but I have been to the Metrodome for a Vikings game. And I was actually there as an Eagles fan because they were playing the Eagles. My dad and my friends were Eagles fans at the time. So I was going to root against the Vikings because duh. And I was 17 years old and I had my brand new high school varsity Letterman's jacket. And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever because I was 17. And of course it was. And this Vikings fan took and dumped a whole bowl of nacho cheese on it because I had an Eagles jersey on underneath of it. And that's when I was like, okay, man. The stigma forever. And they just have this little brother mentality with, like, for example, and like we can relate to this now because you've seen this happen. They sell pictures of Anthony Barr breaking Aaron Rodgers' collarbone. Mm-hmm. And then last week they beat the Bears on Monday Night Football. And what is the picture from their official Twitter account? It says bear down with Nick Foles
comma injured. Down, as in there is a bear down. It's not like bears down. It was singular, meaning one bear down. Yeah.
And it wasn't like on a play horrible. That Nick just sacked. And, you know, if it was a play where he was just sacked and didn't leave the game injured, it'd be one thing, but he left the game injured. They are the team that absolutely wants the opposing fan base and the opposing players to be injured. They're like the first group of people. The other day when Marquez, and I know Packers fans obviously were in the mentions for this as well, but they're the first group of people in the mentions of opposing players telling them to kill themselves or just saying the most ridiculous things like that. I hate Vikings fans. They're the worst rivalry group in the world and the perfect little brother for this division.
I agree.
Yeah, I thought that post was a joke. You know, people change their avatar and then they'll try to post something.
Sports Talk there, he's made a living off of that.
Yeah. When I went there, it was real, and I went, "Wow, that's not really the best picture to use for that." And then I scrolled down, and of course, you know, it's people defending it or whatever. It's like, come on, man, you guys had Aaron Rodgers getting injured in a program that, you know, your organization put out. It's like, come on, man, that's just tasteless. Even if it's not intentional, you got to understand like what that looks like. That's not good at all. And yeah, I agree. Vikings fans are just, I have a few of them that I'm like really cool with, but other than that, every time I get into like a back and forth and somebody's being toxic, it's usually a Vikings fan. It's kind of funny how that works. So yeah, I agree with that for sure. So.
Yeah, and then there's Lions fans too, which there's like 5 of them, so it's kind of hard to go through with Lions fans.
I've met about 3 Vikings fans like in my life that I've actually enjoyed. One of them was an ex-girlfriend, and the other 2 are Drew Mahald and BJ Rydell, who I also go way back to the NFC North barroom with. This is how I look at the NFC North. And the Bears, there's a sense of respect. There's like a mutual respect between those 2 franchises, those 2 fan bases, even though they butt heads on social media like a lot. And the Vikings obviously despise them. I think that's fair. And the Lions, I kind of feel bad for them. I think is like the best way to kind of put that. Like I just feel bad for the fans of that franchise. You go 0-16 in 2008. You had one of the best running backs ever. You had one of the best wide receivers ever, and you forced both of them into an early retirement.
You traded for the best tight end ever, and he said he would retire rather than get traded to Detroit.
Yeah,
Rob Gronkowski.
That's right. I forgot about that
under your belt. And then you got Matthew Stafford, who I think is a lot better than people give him credit for, which I have been. I don't want to say just because Aaron Rodgers said that today. I have been saying that. I said that last week on this.
Last week, yes.
Yeah.
Jacob wanted to punch him in the face.
I still do. It's not wanted. It's not a pass thing. I still would.
So I think the proof that Aaron Rodgers listens to this podcast.
Right.
What up, 12?
Anyways. Yeah, and now they're gonna end Matthew Stafford's career with like what, 1 playoff appearance in 2014, 0 playoff win.
1 against Seattle and 1 against Dallas, and they should have won, but the officials picked up a pass interference flag, which for every Cowboys fan that complains about Dez caught it, the week prior you had a PI flag that would have ended the game taken away. I don't know how they decided it was pass interference, and then they overruled it.
Yeah, they don't realize. It's just
Cowboys fans, that's a completely separate.
Yeah,
they are in a separate category.
Yeah, no, we're strictly NFC North here today.
The one good thing I can say about the Lions is the fans. At least if you're a fan of a football team, and the last division title that you've witnessed your team win was when it was named differently and had a different team in it. You've got to be a pretty good fan, man. I mean, those fans are dedicated, and I go back and forth with them sometimes, but and I feel good about going back and forth with them because that's the one team Mitch can actually beat, which is great. But yeah, those fans are pretty dedicated, and they've been pretty cool to me. So yeah, no issue like the Vikings.
Not only was the different team in it, that different team has won it more recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Lions are the team at the beginning of every year. I pick all 16 regular season games every year, and I never can bring myself to pick the Packers to lose to the Lions. I don't know what it is. I'm just like, they're going to lose a division game or two, right? It's like, I was like, they'll split with the Bears and the Vikings, or maybe they'll get swept by one of those teams or something, but I can never pick them to lose because you mentioned it. One of my favorite stats about the Lions ever is from 2019, and that is that they led the Packers for both games, the entire game. The Packers led for 0 seconds against them both times and won both games. Like, that is incredible. That is a different level,
fan in a nutshell.
A completely different level of ineptitude.
That's why I feel so bad for them. Fan you gotta live.
I can't imagine how heart-wrenching that is. Oh my God.
Think about it this way too. Their actual Twitter account tweeted out a winning record in the opening game of a preseason, like the beginning preseason. They said we did it. We are 4-0 opening over the last 4 seasons in the preseason. I went, this is not a real tweet. There's no way that's a real tweet.
It wasn't the Lions. Yeah, it was the Lions PR that they were like so proud of it. Oh my God.
Whoever thought that was a good tweet should have been released, fired, pink slip handed to them. There's no way that was a good idea.
To even do that, like when you went 0-16 in 2008, you went 4-0 in the preseason. So that it's like you're making fun of yourself, kind of.
Yeah, and you're kind of playing with fire there. Like last time we did this, something really bad happened.
The Twitter account, if it existed, should have been like, 0-16. We didn't end off very well, but 4-0 in the preseason, baby. Hang a banner, like a link to like the games to watch them or something. Yeah, it was bad.
I know we make fun of the Colts AFC finalist banner, which, Erin, I really wish that I had thought of that while you were going there. I would have asked you for a picture of it because I wanted proof it exists.
I did see it.
Okay, so it does exist. That's good. So I know we make fun of that, but like that tweet that you guys just referenced is infinitely worse. Like, this is fake football. Like, hey, congratulations. Our shitty third string quarterback that's bagging groceries next week is better than your shitty third string quarterback that's going to be bagging groceries next week. Awesome. Great. All right, guys, let's move into our next segment, which is one that's become pretty popular. And I can't believe we kind of did it on a joke on a given week, but it's become pretty popular. So it's Thanksgiving, and we do have a photo, so you can't see it, but
you see, you guys can't see it.
I can see it. It says AFC finalist. That's incredible. And for those of you guys that don't remember, they lost that game 45-7. So like, that was the year that Green Bay, well, there was no NFC championship game that year. Actually, Seattle just happened to end up in the Super Bowl.
There's another one in
move it over. There you go. Oh, from 1995. So that was their starting quarterback was Jim Harbaugh, and they lost on a Hail Mary, which I vividly remember for some weird reason. But yeah, that's where we're at. So we kind of did this on a joke, and it's holiday week, so we wanted to go through it. So stuffing, mashed potatoes with or without gravy. We're going to cheat a little bit. And turkey, guys. You've got to fuck one. You've got to marry one. You've got to kill one. And Zach, what are you, 9 years old? Like,
Well, you just said it so sharp. Okay, you know what? Fucking Mr.
And now you just said it like it was nothing. So I don't want to hear it. You know what? Ladies first, beauty before age. So Erin, please go first.
I will marry stuffing. That is something I could do every day. Zach, Jacob, shaking your fucking head.
Watch your fucking mouth.
I just told our guest before the show not to make it every other word, and now that's exactly what we're doing.
I didn't make it every other word. It was like after like 5 words.
There was at least 3 words between
semantics.
Yeah. So I'd marry stuffing because I would totally do that every day. Mashed potatoes I'd fuck because that's not something I want every day, but I want a little something every now and again. You get that craving, you know. And then I would kill turkey. Turkey gives me Nothing, even if it's fried, even if it's smoked, I still will take the other two 100%, 100 times out of 100 times. Yeah.
All right, I'm jumping in because stuffing is disgusting. So I will kill it. It doesn't
You're
matter
disgusting.
what it's made off of. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Every woman that I've ever met has said that to me. That includes my wife and daughter. So whatever. That doesn't. Your insults cannot hurt me. But stuffing is gross. I will kill that 100 times out of 100. My mom, when I was younger,
out of your mind,
used to insist that stuffing, if she made it differently, it tasted different, and it doesn't. It looks like dog vomit. And it tastes worse. I would rather eat my dog's vomit, even though I've never.
That's bullshit. That's a lie.
Prove it.
Prove it. We'll do a taste test.
No, I'm not going to do that. But I'm not eating either one if I can help it. So that's my thought on killing. I am marrying mashed potatoes, and with I love potatoes and in any form. So I can eat those with every meal. And that's probably why I was close to 300 pounds at one point in a previous life, because I ate them. So, and I used to take these I used to take a ladle and just grab it and like 3 big spoonfuls and just smash them onto my plate. And it covered like half the frickin' plate. It was ridiculous. So I love mashed potatoes and gravy. And turkey feels like a perfect one night stand kind of thing. So it's like, I only really have it at Thanksgiving. Maybe a different setting, later in the year. Erin mentioned fried and smoked turkey. So those are 2 pretty good occasions in the summer. I enjoy doing those. So that's a one night stand, maybe tomorrow or today, as you guys are listening, is what they call Blackout Wednesday, which is where you're supposed to meet up with all your old high school friends and get like super drunk, which don't do that now. You're not supposed to do that now. So please don't. But otherwise, I feel like turkey's a good candidate for that. So screw stuffing. That can go by the wayside. Llama, you're our guest. So we're going to save Zach for last here. Where are we at here?
All right, let's see. This has been well thought out. I would marry stuffing because it's like the greatest thing that has ever been blessed on this earth.
Yep.
I would fuck mashed potatoes just because they're usually fluffy and delicious, and I love them. Mm-hmm. And I would kill turkey. Just maybe it's my own personal experience. When it's being cut at the table, usually there's dust flying off and it's horribly dry and nasty. Yeah, I would kill that version of the turkey. Maybe there's good versions out there, but yeah, I would kill turkey, and it's not even a second. There's not even a close second. So,
well, we said this before the show. So Llama, for those of you guys, one of his shticks is the Bears should sign any living, breathing offensive lineman. Yes. So Lane Taylor is going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and I would like him to come back to Green Bay. But Chicago, if they sign him, you need to get hooked up with him somehow and let him smoke you a turkey. So he'll get you something that's not got dust coming off of it.
Establish the connection. Yep.
Yes.
I feel you.
Okay. Zachary?
Jacob, see, this is why I love you sometimes. We had the exact same answer. I love potatoes, like you said, in any form. So I'm marrying potatoes. I'll spend the rest of my life with potatoes if I can. And I am going to make sweet love to a turkey, not literally. So
PETA's going to come after us.
Yeah. Oh, so you're going to be like the dude from Scary Movie 2?
I was going to say that. Yeah, stuff this turkey. So yeah, that's Mary Match.
Now I'm just imagining your hand.
My turn.
Curled up.
It's the Mary Match. Mary potatoes. I'm gonna do that with the turkey, and then I'm gonna kill stuffing. I've actually never had stuffing in my life because I refuse to. It just doesn't look good. Oh wow, Erin just stopped laughing immediately.
I know. I just I'm in shock.
I don't know. It just doesn't look good. So I don't know. I can't get on board with stuffing. Every single Thanksgiving we have it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not the biggest turkey fan. Like every single turkey I've ever had is dry as hell. I don't like it. But I mean, I'm a way bigger of a ham person. But yeah. What ham is better than turkey? Are you going to disagree on that?
I am. But I'm also kind of with Llama on this. We have an aunt who makes the ham. And there was a meme a few years ago that said, ruin Thanksgiving in 4 words. And my response was, Chris cooked the ham. And it's bad. It is not good. Like, I don't dislike ham. but whenever she makes it, that's what I associate with Thanksgiving, and it is fucking terrible.
Well, maybe I need to have it like hey, you mentioned earlier before the show, like smoked or something. Maybe I just need to have it in like a different form. But every turkey that I've had is just, I don't know, I guess dry. Or like Llama said, you get some dust knocked off of it every time it's being cut. Just don't like it.
Yeah. My plate's usually only stuffing and mashed potatoes, and that's about it.
Really?
That's
okay.
All. Yep.
Real quick, Thursday, we've got, as far as football games go, assuming the Ravens and the Steelers play, is that the game that we're all looking the most forward to?
Yeah, which is sad that it's probably my gut says that it's getting postponed.
Moved. Yeah. I was going to say, otherwise you get the Texans and the Lions, so you can watch Deshaun Watson. And then Washington and Dallas. I mean, there's some intrigue there, right? No? After Mike McCarthy smashed a watermelon, maybe he'll smash a turkey to motivate his team.
Well, you know what they said? I thought that he injured himself today because they said something about like his presser was canceled for a medical emergency. And then I got this image that like he smashed his fingers like or something.
With a sledgehammer?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, that would just be...
I couldn't shake the image of just the big sweaty Mike McCarthy chest hair just smashing the shit out of a watermelon. Just I mean, that's what I tweeted actually. Just smashed.
I pictured him too with like as he's trying to smash it, his face is red as that meme. Well, it's become a meme from the game in Washington from
when he's going after the
referee. Yes,
that was one of my favorite Mike McCarthy moments. That was so
gosh.
Awesome.
There's that one, and then there's the like eyebrow look that he gives. I don't remember when that was from. I think that was New Orleans. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of like 4 New Orleans games at Lambeau Field that have taken place in the last 10 years or something like that. So,
I have it saved on my camera roll, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I do too.
It's sad that we've got that. So, okay, guys, that is our weekly segment of Marry, Fuck, Kill. If you have suggestions for those, please feel free to send those at Game On WI. These have been pretty fun. I can't believe that it's been as fun as it has, but we found a way.
I've learned so much about you guys.
Am I the only one too that gets like the image in my head of like the logistics? So like, for example, somebody
PETA on line 1.
Yes. Or like mashed potatoes. Like it feels like American Pie, but you know, with potatoes instead of a pie. like actually. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about this pre-show about the first episode when we did the candy bars and how, or the first time we did it.
Yep.
And I agree. That one was pretty I don't know.
What did we say for that one again?
The imagery there, that was the candy bars. So a Twix bar.
Yeah.
And one of us who shall remain nameless was going to town on a Twix bar.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, never mind. Sorry, Erin. You're gonna rename nameless.
All right. Shall we talk football? I think we should maybe talk a little bit of football. I swear, if the llama never wants to come back to the show, I will never.
He's probably left already.
If he's not, if when I kick it to him and you guys just hear stunned silence, you know why. So that's where we're at. So Sunday night,
calling the police on us.
Sunday night, Bears and Packers. They play on Sunday Night Football. Mike Tirico is calling the game with Tony Dungy, actually. So no Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth. No reason given as to why on that.
They did that earlier in the season, I think. I think they just
Al's
said
getting a little bit
older.
So.
Yeah.
Plus, Mike Tirico's awesome. I've got no complaints with hearing. The only thing I have a problem with now is I associate his voice with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and there's only one team I hate more than the Fighting Irish, and I have a bad feeling because I've seen one of you tweet something pro about them, and now I'm not sure, but it's the Ohio State Buckeyes. And Llama?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Are you a Buckeye?
That's the squad, man. Yep. Justin Fields. Pro Justin Fields.
Okay. Well, is it just because of Justin Fields, or are you like a lifelong?
No, lifelong, yeah. But
all right. Well, I am a fan of Ohio State's bitch, also known as the Michigan Wolverines. So that explains a few things, but that's beside the point. We're going to move on from that. But the Packers play on Sunday night. So, guys, what I want to get to just here real quick is biggest keys to the game. And let's start on the defensive side of the ball. And I think we're going to probably be kind of in lockstep here, but I really think it starts with that Chicago front against Green Bay's pass rushers with Zadarius Smith. And what I'm hoping is more snaps for Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary was Pro Football Focus's highest graded player for Green Bay. On Sunday, he had 4 more pressures. He has 11 in the last 2 games. He has 22 on the season. He's got a lot more pressures. I don't have the exact numbers than Preston Smith, and he's outplayed Preston. And I don't hate a player when he's playing poorly, like some people on these websites and apps do. But the reality is Rashawn Gary's the 12th overall pick. It's time for him to start getting more snaps. And I think Sunday's a really good opportunity to do something like that. As the Llama mentioned earlier, Zadarius Smith is a very good player, and they're facing a not very good front. And whether it's Nick Foles or if it's Nick Foles or Tyler Bray, those guys are statues. If it's Trubisky, he can move a little bit. So that might cause some potential issues for the Packers defense. I don't know. Ultimately, the biggest reason I think Green Bay has an edge in this game is because, and it's the biggest reason I never really bought into the Bears, even at 5-1, even as good and as much respect as I have for their defense, and we'll get to that in a minute, is because they can't block anybody. And when your quarterback, who's not very good, has to run for his life, and they have Allen Robinson, who's awesome, admittedly, there's not enough time to get him the ball. I mean, what was it? I think, Llama, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it the Monday night game against the Rams where somebody brought up that Nick Foles was saying in a production meeting, or maybe it was a Sunday night game, I can't remember which, but basically he's saying he knows that when he drops back to pass, there are plays being called that he knows he's not going to have time to work.
Yep. He just doesn't have the time to work with him. And I think he said, Matt Nagy in a post-game press conference said that he was going to talk to him about it. That's just a complete failure, man. You can't go away from somebody like Trubisky that gives you that edge with his legs, and then go to somebody like Foles and not gear the offense around him. You're losing a lot of mobility. Nick Foles, I might run faster than Nick Foles, and I haven't ran since I was like 15 years old. So
who
that's
wins
a
race,
problem.
Nick Foles or Phillip Rivers?
Oh, geez.
Yeah, because I watched
Maybe
Rivers
Phillip.
run on. I think it's Rivers, man, and Rivers moves like a mummy.
Yeah,
I would say Rivers.
All right, so Llama, I kicked to you there. What do you think the biggest key is looking at the Bears offense then against the Packers defense?
It's gonna always come back to the line. Rashad Coward is
what a terrible name for an offensive lineman.
Yes,
that is just
absolutely.
so unfortunate.
He is as lost of a player as I have seen in a long time. There was a game I remember watching Cutler get sacked 9 times in one half against the Giants. And that's when he lost it on the sideline versus against one of his linemen. Now I'm watching Rashad Coward, and he could not look more clueless. It's a disaster. Every time that he's out there starting, it's a problem. I don't know where he's going to be lined up now, but wherever he's lined up, you put your money on whoever's across from him, because he is awful. And the guys that are having to fill in aren't doing much better. So it's gonna come all down to the line, man. I don't think they're gonna be able to have much time. They better gear whoever's starting, one of the 4. I don't know who it's gonna be, but they have to have some quick outs. They have to be able to dump a pass off and get out of it, because they have no line as it stands right now, and it's gonna be a problem.
Boy, do I have a defensive coordinator for you, Mr. Long. Zachary, biggest key for the Packers defense looking at the Bears offense?
Well, I mean, regardless of who starts at quarterback, whether it's going to be Trubisky or if it's going to be Foles or Tyler Bray, or, I mean, if they even go with Slaughter, I mean, we don't know. It's going to be
Brett Favre out of retirement. I've always wanted to see that.
You're really playing with fire here, but
he already played for the Vikings. Who cares?
Yeah, but I mean, if Brett Favre comes out of retirement and plays for the Bears, really? You saw how
he already schemed his way to the Vikings. Can it get any worse?
Yeah. Did you just see how this fan base reacted to a guy fumbling in overtime?
Oh my God.
Freaking life.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Can you imagine something like this happen? Oh my God. Okay. Regardless of who's taking snaps under center, it's going to come down to getting pressure. Look, I mean, you said it best. Rashawn Gary needs to see the field more. He needs to see the field over Preston Smith. I think one thing Matt LaFleur has been good at is getting guys on the field when they've been producing, getting them more opportunities. So Rashawn Gary, he's finally putting it all in motion. I mean, they drafted him with the outlook that he was going to be a project. It was going to take a little time for him to really hit his stride. It was going to take some time for him to start seeing an increased workload. They signed Zadarius and Preston Smith a month prior before taking him at number 12. He wasn't going to be thrown right to the wolves immediately and start seeing, just starting snaps. He was going to be kind of eased in. Now we're seeing him on the field a little more. We're starting to see him make an impact week by week. And it's showing in his statistics. Pro Football Focus is taking notice, which, I'm not the biggest advocate of their grades, their whole grading system, but that's a whole other story. I don't think there's a better opportunity right now than against this offensive line for Rashawn Gary to kind of really make an impact and to kind of put more people on notice and maybe start easing that whole, oh my God, he's a bust. I can't believe they spent the number 12 overall pick on this guy when they could have had Brian Burns and all that bullshit. I don't think there's a better opportunity than Sunday night. So regardless of who's going to be taking snaps under center, regardless of who's going to be throwing, it's going to come down to being able to make them uncomfortable, pressuring some of those throws, just not letting them get into a rhythm. Because if Nick Foles or Trubisky or Tyler Bray, if either one of those guys is lighting up this defense, I mean, Twitter is going to be crazy. It is going to be wild, and I can't imagine. I mean, against Mike Pettin's defense, really anything can happen. When they're playing 10 yards off the line of scrimmage at corner and, guys are just playing so deep, this pressure just needs to be good. I think that's going to be the biggest key for this defense.
So there you have that. I found the numbers while Zach was talking there. Preston Smith, 230 pass rush snaps, 15 pressures, 2 sacks. Rashawn Gary, 171 pass rush snaps, 22 pressures, 3 sacks. And that includes 11 pressures in just the last 2 games. So somebody's starting to put some stuff together. I think he needs to play more. And I think, like you guys have mentioned, it's a perfect opportunity for that. Erin, last but certainly not least. We save the best for last around here.
Well, I mean, that's basically, I agree. Just getting pressure. Because I was impressed with the pressure because last week against the Colts, because I mean, they were clearly affecting that offensive line. I mean, how many holding penalties in a row at the end? Like
27.
Yeah, right. I mean, we were in the stands and I just could not believe that was happening. I was like, this feels like a joke. Like they're trying to hand over the game, and we literally fumbled it away. But yeah, I mean, I think Rashawn Gary needs to play. We talked about this last week. Like, I don't understand why he's not playing more. I know you might want to justify because Preston's on this big deal. And maybe you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with him next offseason, but Rashawn needs to be taking those snaps. I don't understand why he's not. But I don't understand why Mike Pettin does a lot of what he does. So I think, I don't know, the key to the game, again, pass rush. Everything works when the pass rush works. So that's it.
I will say one sneaky matchup I'm looking forward to is Jair Alexander against Allen Robinson, just because Robinson, obviously one of the best receivers in football. He's one of those dudes that he's in that if he only had a quarterback club. Now, I know that every Packer fan likes to point out that he picked Chicago instead of Green Bay, but even still, if he had a quarterback, I do wonder if his numbers might be in the same sort of boat as, say, maybe Devontae Adams or somebody like that.
He doesn't have a drop this season.
Well, according to the numbers, there are a few. Well,
plays yeah, well, you consider like it's been an interception. Yeah, like a tipped interception. But still, I mean, he's been very impressive under while he's covered. So,
and he's been good his entire career. So I look forward to, finding out where he's going to play next season. Sorry, Llama. I know that for a while, I think your Twitter name was Extend Allen Robinson. It may very well still be.
No, it's not anymore. No, it's kind of that had steam and it was starting to pick up. And I was like, hey, they're resuming talks. It's looking good. And then things went downhill. And now I'm pretty much accepting, barring a miracle, why would he want to stay at this point? They're probably going to be resetting and reloading for the future. So, why would he stay? I honestly trying not to be a homer here for a minute. Allen Robinson with a legit quarterback, sky's the limit for him, in my opinion. He is unbelievable. Some of the things that he does. I think on the opposite side of the ball, you brought up Jair versus A-Rob. I don't know who they're going to have lined up on Devontae. I think more than likely it's probably going to be Kyle Fuller. But in looks with Jalen Johnson, if he gets some across from Devontae, that would be really
a player.
Yeah, I'm super happy with him.
And I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super happy with him so far. We've actually seen some things from him. The offense doesn't use their, the pick before him. Cole Kmet hasn't shown up at all, and we haven't seen him. He's been MIA, but Jalen Johnson on Devontae, if we get that, would be pretty interesting to watch, because last week it didn't end very well for Jalen. JJ was pretty much lighting us up all game long. Justin Jefferson is ridiculous. But now he's facing an even better receiver, so it'd be interesting to see how he does.
Yeah, only the Bears can lose a player as good as Adrian Amos and not miss him still 2 seasons later. And I know that obviously we're talking different positions, but their secondary is still as good or really good. Kyle Fuller has justified that contract. He had one kind of rough season in the midst of it, but overall he's been very good. Jalen Johnson, like you mentioned, he's starting to hit some growing pains. And Eddie Jackson, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm just not seeing his name mentioned as much, but he is one of those safeties that I think should be mentioned as one of the best players in the league at his position. And I don't know if he is. He's somebody who is an all-pro level player, and he's just phenomenal. He's had 2 pick sixes called back because of penalties this year.
Yeah, it's to a point where it happens so consistently that when he runs it back, I hold off on freaking out and I look for a flag. And it's happened twice this year. Last year he was playing out of position because HaHa was there, and he's not able to roam free as much as he wanted to. I think they miss Amos a little more than the typical fan is willing to admit. I personally love Amos, but I felt like at that point they were thinking that HaHa would have been a better option, and he certainly was not. But Gibson has been better, so that allows him to get back, Eddie Jackson to get back to his more natural position, pretty much playing center field. So yeah, I like the way the secondary looks, but I'd like to see them kind of dip more in the draft coming up to kind of flesh things out a little more, because I don't know if Gibson's even coming back. So.
Well, and the reality when it comes to Amos is when you give the richest contract in the history of a defensive player to Khalil Mack, which, good idea there. Yeah. Kyle Fuller has a big contract. You had given a contract to Danny Trevathan. I believe they'd given a contract to Eddie Goldman, or one was coming up for Eddie Goldman. Somebody like Adrian Amos and the contract he got in Green Bay, he's been a good value for the Packers. It's just a contract. There are things that nobody from the opposing fan will ever admit that, but sometimes it's just a win-win for both sides. Obviously, is Amos in a vacuum a better player than HaHa Clinton Dix? Yes. Was Clinton Dix a good enough player, especially considering they only paid him $3 million for the Bears last year? Yeah, he was. Yeah. And that's okay, because the Packers got what they've needed out of Amos. He's been rock solid as a safety. He's been really good in the community, and he's got a charity that's close to my heart as somebody who runs a Alzheimer's association. So I'm always appreciative of something like that too. You were mentioning the offensive side of the ball, so let's go to that. The Packers are going to play offense in this game, which is bad news for the Bears, but this is also the Bears' strength. This is kind of a strength on strength kind of game, very similar to the way the Colts and the Packers were. The Bears have a very good defense. I actually said coming into the year, it turns out I think this is actually wrong, but the strongest individual unit from any of the teams in the NFC North, I thought was going to be the Bears defense. Turns out it looks like that actually is the Packers offense, but I didn't expect Green Bay's offense to be as good as it has been this season. But Chicago's defense still, there's a lot of players and some really big names on that side of the ball. Khalil Mack, for my money's worth, and I love Zadarius Smith, but Khalil Mack's the best edge player in the NFC North, and he's phenomenal. And he's been everything the Bears could have hoped for and more when they made that trade 2 years ago now. It's been absolutely incredible. Brought the Bears defense to a completely different level. He's not Lawrence Taylor, like some people maybe were saying in Chicago area when they brought him in that first season and they had the best defense in football that very easily could have carried them to a Super Bowl, but he's very good. Robert Quinn hasn't quite lived up to his billing yet this season, but that's something that maybe next year will be with a full off season and everything like that. Maybe he'll have that opportunity. Roquan Smith is a very good player in the middle. Danny Trevathan is still very good. You mentioned their corners. We talked about Eddie Jackson. And then obviously on the Packers side, we know anybody who listens to the show knows, their players. I am looking forward to, can the Packers get deep on this Bears defense? Because that's something that the Vikings were successful with to some degree last week. The Bears defense, I thought, did a really good job of limiting Dalvin Cook, which I thought they were going to struggle with. They've had some games this year where they've actually struggled at stopping the run. At one point during the season, they were ranked towards the middle of the pack, like 18th-ish as far as stopping the run. So I thought Dalvin Cook might have a good opportunity to have a good game, and they really didn't do anything to stop them. I didn't even mention Akeem Hicks when I was talking earlier. He's a scary MF. That dude, there was one. Here's a story I'll tell. Last year, the game at Lambeau, and Akeem Hicks was barking in the stands. One of the fans was yelling down at him something about how you suck, you're nothing, you ain't shit, blah, blah, blah. And Hicks basically said, you won't come down here and say that. And the dude started walking towards the stands, and Hicks was like going to meet him at the gate to fight him and probably kill him. It's a good thing that security stopped the fan from going down there, because he would have died. Hicks could eat him. He's just an insane person, but he's such a good defensive lineman. He's another one of those players that I mentioned that's been so underrated for so long, probably by everybody outside of Chicago. But the point I was going to get to off that is the Bears have gotten better, I think, as far as slowing down the run game. And the Packers rushing offense has actually kind of sputtered since really all season. Honestly, they haven't really run the ball as well. Aaron Jones has one 100-yard rushing game this season. He has 2 games with 100 total all-purpose yards, which I was really surprised when I read that. And he's really struggled out of the bye or off of his injury here over the last 3 weeks. So I think this is a game, and I know it's going to sound like almost a perfect redemption moment, but I'm looking forward to Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And can he get a ball down the field behind on this defense? He's been starting to I know he just finished a game and had the fumble that eventually lost the game for the team. That's actually a poor way of wording that, but you guys understand what I mean when I say that. But I think he's started to put together some really good games back to back to back. He had a big game, obviously 2 weeks ago against Jacksonville. The Packers game isn't even in overtime against the Colts without the plays he's made. He drew a deep 50-yard pass interference penalty that set up a touchdown before halftime. He's starting to stack success, even despite that fumble at the end of the game. And I think that he could be somebody who's just going to be hyper-focused, out for blood kind of game. And I think the Packers may even make a concerted effort to get him the ball down the field. And there's a play that actually sticks into mind from last year's game at Lambeau. I think it was the first or second play of the game. They ran the shot play, and Valdes-Scantling runs the corner post right down the middle of the field, and it goes right through his arms. And you could just tell he was fighting the ball. He's not fighting the ball anymore. So can you get deep on this Bears defense? I think that's a good opportunity for the Packers to do that. And obviously, to give you guys the other matchup, this pass rush, Mack, Hicks, Quinn, the other guys that they have, obviously, against the Packers offensive line, I think that's a really good matchup to watch as well. Llama, tell me how terrified you are of Aaron Rodgers.
I live in a natural state of fear. That's basically, that's where I'm at. I'm always there. It's terrifying as a Bears fan to be to know that the game's coming up. There's always a sick feeling when it's Bears week or when it's Packers week. My thing is about going deep on this team. I think that's more possible than you might think. I think targeting Buster Screen is going to be what Rodgers is going to do. Working towards Jalen Johnson and Fuller, I mean, they've been excellent so far this year. I think they were one of the top 2 corner duos at least a couple weeks ago. But Buster Screen, he's very handsy. He'll probably give you a few big pass interference penalties, so all you got to do pretty much is just throw it up there. He's very, very physical to a fault, and he's not nearly as good on the outside, deep down the field, as Fuller and Jalen are. But yeah, overall, it's just terrifying because you can give Aaron Rodgers only a few seconds to throw, and he's probably going to dump it off and gain 20 or something like that. So they're going to really have to get after it. The front, as good as they've been, at least on paper, Khalil Mack's always going to be wrecking the game, but I need to see more out of the rest of the guys up front. Hicks, I think, is just going to do what he always does, which is basically just swallow whoever runs up the middle, just swallow them up, and they're not going to go anywhere. But our Robert Quinn has been MIA. He hasn't done pretty much anything. I think he has a strip sack, and that was it. That's the end of it. So they're going to have to get after him, because usually the way this goes is they give Rodgers a lot of time, and Rodgers with a lot of time it never ends well. So yeah, it's going to be pressuring, like you guys said about, beating up the Bears offensive line. They're going to have to get in his face, or it's going to be a really long day. I think they're going to bully screen if they get the chance. So.
And I would advise against building a 20-0 lead at halftime, just because I've seen.
If we do, I'm going to DM each one of you and congratulate you on the win, and wish you the best of luck moving forward. I'll be deactivating my account. So.
Oh my gosh, I got to tell you, man, I do not envy, just because I know how some Packers fans can be, especially when it comes to the Bears, for something like that. And when it comes to. I think when it comes to like Packers Twitter, you're like the face of Bears Twitter now. So congratulations. Welcome to that spot. But sometimes, I guess that's what's the old phrase from Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. So
yeah.
Aaron, what do you think?
Dynamic.
What are you looking at here for the Packers offense?
Oh, it's gonna be a revenge kind of thing after last week. The offense. That second half offense was awful and heart-wrenching. And I mean, the only points they put up were the last, minute and a half of the entire game. I think they know they need to be better. And I think that, Rodgers and LaFleur have both said they have all the faith in MVS. I think they're going to go out throwing to him a lot. I think they're going to be showing that they are just as confident in him after that fumble. 100%. Yeah, I think I think it's going to be a bloodbath in a good way for us Packers fans. I'm excited.
Zachary, anything specific you're looking at?
Nothing I'm really looking at, but I know what they need to do to kind of beat this pass rush and this front seven, because there's two really good linebackers with Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith. So I'm gonna be kind of really monitoring how fast they design plays to kind of really get the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, which was something they did throughout the first few games this season. I feel like they got away from it. So the offensive line obviously has to be really good, and I know Akeem Hicks right now he's questionable. I think because he left last week's game with a hamstring injury, so I think that might be something to kind of really. Llama, I think you can. Llama, can you clarify on that? Is that?
I think they just said that he was on the report as questionable, if I read it correctly. So I'm not sure at this point.
One of the hard parts is we're recording on a Tuesday night, so
on
the
Tuesday,
Bears haven't practiced.
Yeah, and we don't know if even Lindsley is going to be playing either.
Yeah, so we don't really know anything right now, but definitely something to kind of really look after. Yeah, I'm just kind of really looking at seeing how they beat this pass rush and kind of relying on the receivers to create after the catch. And Alan Lazard, I think, will be playing a lot bigger of a role. I know everyone's eyes are kind of fixated on MVS right now, and mine are too. Definitely, I want to see him bounce back. I want to see him rebound. Not that there's really anything to bounce back from. He had 3 catches, 55 yards, and drew that big DPI as
right.
well. So, he had a great game aside from the fumble, and he's had 257 yards and 3 touchdowns in his last 3 games. So he's been playing really well. And as Jacob said, he's catching more with his hands now. He's not having that internal struggle with his brain and his hands. He's just more focused. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking at Alan Lazard and kind of see him, seeing if he does play more this week. Because I know the Packers, they actually held true to their word and they kept him on a pitch count against the Colts. I thought they would be doing a little bit of a troll job like they did with Aaron Jones against the 49ers, but Lazard actually played a season low 60% of the snaps. So I'll be watching to see if they kind of ease him back in a little more, give him more of a role. But yeah, really, I just want to see how the Packers beat this pass rush because the Bears defense, it's good. We're looking at the secondary, but I think that front seven is definitely worth watching as well.
Yeah, and if Lindsley doesn't play, you're asking, Runyon to go in there and be up against one of the toughest pass rushes in the league. I think that'll be a big test for him if Lindsley isn't out there.
I'm actually really confident if that's what, because John Runyon stepped in ice cold against DeForest Buckner, who,
Right.
Buckner's a better player than anybody on the Bears defensive line. And I know I said all those nice things about Akeem Hicks earlier, but DeForest Buckner's a different level.
Mhm.
I'm okay if Lindsley doesn't play. Obviously, I would prefer that he did. I'm not saying,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm
Well,
okay
yeah,
with
and you
Runyon
can
stepping in
trust
there.
the medical staff. Like, they're going to keep him out unless he's 100%. I don't think,
Right.
especially with a back injury, they're not going to push him. I would be surprised if he plays.
Aaron, Zach, something else I brought up was the running game and how the Packers have kind of struggled. Like I mentioned, Aaron Jones has averaged something along the lines of like 40 yards a game coming off of his injury here. I could get those exact numbers, but do you guys have any concern over this running game? Are you hoping to see maybe a bit of a bounce back? Do they need to get that bounce back and going over, these last 6 weeks of the season before getting into the postseason? Zach, I'll start with you.
No, I don't think there's any genuine concern. I mean, against the 49ers, I know they were pretty battered up front, but they were still going against a pretty good defensive line, pretty good defensive front. And then, I mean, against Indy, you still got DeForest Buckner, you got Darius Leonard, you still got a pretty good front seven in there. The Packers are actually averaging about 3 yards more rushing yards per game right now than they did all of last season. I think they were like at 112 last season. They're at 115 something right now. So yeah, they're actually being more productive. They're getting contributions more from Aaron Jones and aside from Aaron Jones, from Jamal Williams, AJ Dillon has chipped in. It's not really something that's concerning to me. They're about middle of the pack right now in terms of rushing yards per game. So I don't know what the exact, what the standard is. I mean, obviously you have teams like the Ravens, and I think the Titans are at the top. Obviously, because they have really potent backfields, and the Titans, they got Derrick Henry, and the Ravens, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins. But no, it's not really concerning to me, especially down the stretch. For all we know, they could be kind of like taking the foot off the gas a little bit, kind of preserving guys maybe more for playoff time, for when the weather gets colder. And they're all that, that's something that they also, I think, kept in mind when they drafted AJ Dillon in the second round. For when the games get colder, the temperature starts dropping, nobody's going to want to tackle him. So, that could be maybe a reason why, he hasn't seen the field so much. I know he's on the COVID list right now, but before that, I think he'll probably play a little bit bigger of a role down the stretch too, come playoff time, especially maybe. I don't think it's anything to worry about.
Yeah.
Something else on that I wanted to add in, obviously Sunday, first of all, when you run 6 plays in the third quarter, it's kind of hard to run the ball when you only run 6 plays in a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit of a concern there. Obviously the exact numbers I had, Aaron Jones, since his calf injury, so those 3 games, he's averaging 81 total yards per game and 48 on the ground. The other thing I mentioned earlier that was surprising, 100-yard rushing game. That was week 2 against Detroit. And he has 2 games with more than 100 all-purpose yards. That just caught me by a little bit of surprise, just because Jamal Williams has 2 starts and he has 2 games with more than 100 all-purpose yards. So that was just interesting because Aaron Jones obviously in line potentially for a big extension. Jamal Williams is kind of seen as this secondary piece, if you will. I am team let Aaron Jones walk anyways. So I guess while these numbers might even be pushing his price down a little bit, I don't know. That certainly could be possible. But Aaron, any concern about the ground game here over the last few weeks real quick before we move into our last couple bits?
No, I mean, I kind of just echo exactly what Zach says. I'm, playing some
dangerous game.
Yeah. And I mean, the Colts have a great, I know. Whatever, fuck it tonight. I don't care. Yeah, I mean, the Colts just have a great D-line, and obviously they just completely shut us out in the second half. I mean, there's not really I don't know what was going on with that, like with our offense, and I don't blame our rushing game on that. I think there was some questionable play calls and just a lot of confusion. I'm not really sure what's happening, and I think we're fine. I'm not worried about it. Aaron Jones is still Aaron Jones. We've got Jamal Williams. And like Zach said, when AJ Dillon's back in the cold weather, he's going to be pounding dudes. So let's go.
He's going to be what?
He's going to be pounding through dudes. That's what I meant to say.
Phrasing.
Oh my God. I'm like so hungover. I'm so tired. I got like 4 hours of sleep last night. So
Aaron's
been
drinking.
Oh, there's a big surprise. That's
an incredible. I think I'm gonna have a heart attack and die from that surprise.
All right, everyone. Here's one thing I will say about AJ Dillon is AJ Dillon. It's been 3 weeks since he's been on the COVID list, and he hasn't been activated, and it may not be this week either. So I'm going to start speaking about him in terms of an if more so than a when, just because of the unpredictability, obviously, of the virus. It's, I think what happens is we kind of get it in our head. We kind of Maddenize injuries. A pulled hamstring is a 2-week injury. So if a player's not back within 2 weeks, we assume it's supposed to be. So the COVID list kind of became that way. It's like, okay, 14 days, 10 to 14 days, they're supposed to be back. And like me, I got lucky. I was able to come back to work within 10 days. I'm now asymptomatic, but not necessarily, AJ Dillon is still on the COVID list, and he tested positive on the 2nd. It's now the 25th as you guys are listening to this, and he hadn't been activated yet. So that could be interesting. Guys, we've done the football analysis, and obviously, Zach, you got something else you want to chime in with?
No.
It looked like you were trying to say something.
Yeah, well, I mean, you started moving. I was just gonna say, yeah, that's a really good point, and it was kind of like wrong for me to kind of like speculate because you're right. We don't know shit about this virus, and we have no idea the extent of like how it's how it's impacting everybody. It hits everybody differently, and the same can be said for Chris Barnes, because I think he's the other guy who tested positive as well.
And he's been watching practice, so he must be further along than Dillon is. Because to my knowledge, I think there was a tweet last week from one of the reporters that he was watching practices with the team, but I don't believe Dillon has been. Don't quote me on that. Obviously, maybe I shouldn't have even said that if I didn't know.
Oh, now. Too late.
Now I've been quoted on it. Hashtag fake news. So sorry, guys. You come to this. That's what everything is. So
what's your source?
I don't have one. Unlike some members of Twitter, I do not pretend to have sources, and I will not make them up.
Okay, so good. We were leaning in the same direction with that. Good.
Yeah, right. I will not pretend to make them up. I always, it's so funny. I am so like against that thought, or like I'm so cognitive of like that somebody might think that I know something. And especially true now that I do a show with Jamal Williams. I always try to point out, I know nothing. This is purely speculative, whatever. I know nothing. So I just want to keep that. And that could go with anything. I know nothing.
I always point out how stupid I am. So, I mean, that
well,
goes,
I do too. So
yeah, that's a staple of the show here.
Like literally, Llama is like the only person here right now who's like actually nice to me in the few times that we've interacted.
Oh no, he's been tweeting this entire show. Yeah.
We have a separate group chat apart from you.
Understandable. Harsh.
We have different names and all kinds of stuff for you. But guys, we've done the football stuff, and I know you guys come here for the heavy analysis. So I need to know, when is it too soon to start playing holiday music?
Who's going first?
I'm going to go ahead and say never. It's never too early.
Okay.
It's year round is perfectly fine with me. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, I love Christmas.
Now I feel really bad. Bad llama.
Well played.
Shame on you.
I don't think it's ever too early, and there's for multiple reasons. Because number one, whenever the hell you want to listen to whatever the hell you want to listen to it. Like, do whatever the hell you want to do. Who gives a fuck? As long as you're not harming anyone or yourself, listen to whatever music you want.
Except for Florida Georgia Line, because that is harming me and everyone around me. Because my ears legitimately bleed if I hear it.
What if they're in headphones?
I can hear it. I know it.
You can hear it in your soul.
The existence of Florida Georgia Line is legitimately bothersome to the rest of the world.
Okay.
The blood projectiles through his ears, and it could shoot straight into someone's eyes and permanently blind them.
You know what? That's probably the most common thing to happen. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
It happens all the time. I put 3 people in the hospital last year because of them. They put out a new album. It was one of the worst things that could have ever happened.
No, I think you put those people in the hospital because of your odor.
Boom, there it is.
All right, Erin, go on.
Anyway,
tell us why you're wrong about holiday music.
Oh my god. Anyways, but also like I love Christmas because it's usually a happier time. People are just nicer. I love winter. I love the cold. So I start listening to music when it's like October, holiday music, when it's like October and it's getting chilly, and I start, frost. Yeah, that's about the time that I start.
Zach, please.
Jago, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be your hero here. I'm with Erin and Llama.
Yes.
Woo woo!
I'm the same way. I love cold weather, the winter, and I love Christmas is like my favorite time of the year.
Yep.
Like it could be 98 degrees outside, my balls could be sweating, but I love Christmas music. I love all of it. Everything about it.
Thanks for that. Adding that little nugget in there.
Says Christmas cheer, like Christmas music and ball sweat. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's really it. That's all you need.
Brings tidings across the world. I mean, I don't like listening to it, but if I hear it, I enjoy it. It puts me in like a giddy kind of like celebratory mood.
Agreed.
Frank Sinatra Christmas music will change.
Yes, Frank Sinatra in general, I love.
Sinatra in general is the man, so I can't even complain about that.
I love Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, he's the man.
Here's a quick question for Erin, though, super fast. If Rush were to make a Christmas album, would you listen to it? Yes or no?
Can Roger answer that question for me, Jacob?
No. I asked that question partly because I knew that clip was ready to go. So
yeah, no.
You don't like Rush?
You don't know this? It's like pretty well known. I hate Rush.
I'm with Erin.
I hate his voice.
It
has nothing to do with the drummer. It has nothing to do with him. It's the dude's voice. It is so.
Geddy Lee's voice is very distinctive, and I can kind of understand that.
It just makes me. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
I just grew up.
We have a game here at the lake house. When our family's here, we listen to classic rock, and you pick a hate band and a love band. And a band that I love is Tom Petty. And I do a shot of something that I like, a shot of liquor. And if it's a hate band, you do a shot of Malort. So Malort is awful. So yeah.
I have a funny Tom Petty story. I remember Brett Favre's final season in Green Bay. They picked Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers to be the performers of the halftime show. And they announced that in December at some point. And obviously that year was a magical season for the Packers. They weren't supposed to be very good. They went 13-3. And I remember thinking that Tom Petty playing the halftime show was a sign the Packers were going to win a Super Bowl because one of their main songs is Running Down a Dream. And Brett Favre and the Packers were running down a dream of one more Super Bowl before he retires. And of course, Brett Favre does what he always does and shits down his leg before and throws an interception in overtime because death, taxes, and Brett Favre throwing interceptions in playoff games. So there's that.
Shits down his leg is now my new favorite saying.
Well,
I've never heard that before.
There's a reason, guys, when it comes to, and we can do this. Well, maybe we kind of did, but if we did MFK with Packers quarterbacks, I would kill Brett Favre. And it's because I cannot trust that man. And it's because I remember when he went to the Vikings and he threw that interception all season. I kept telling the Vikings fans, listen, I know it's great now and you guys are really enjoying it. And there's a lot of jokes you're making at my expense. I've seen this movie and he's going to break your heart the way he broke mine so many times. And then when he did, I told them, I told you. And it's just insane the amount of games he just absolutely. There's zero question to me between him and Aaron Rodgers who the better player is. And I know Llama said earlier that's your favorite quarterback. As far as enjoyed to watch, I'm kind of with you just because when he threw the ball and the camera panned, it might go to our guy, but it might go to your guy too. So I can understand like the feeling of, hey, there's a 50-50 chance when the ball's in the air that it's going to a guy wearing blue. Whereas now, like, you know, that when our guy throws the ball, it's probably to one of our guys. So, and he's probably wide the hell open. Nonetheless, when it comes to holiday music, the answer is December 1st. And the reason for me is I used to work at the mall and I remember they played it November 1st all the way through the end of January. And I think I said this to you guys before the show, but I'm going to make the joke again that I wanted to kick Santa in the shins by November 5th. Like I just had enough. Working in retail can very much change your opinion as how you feel about Christmas. And I worked Black Friday for like 4 years in a row. And I hate those people. And the amount of people, like, only in, what is it, the old joke that we make every year? Only in America can we sit around a table and tell everybody what we're thankful for and then beat the shit out of each other for a television. Like,
Right.
That's just how we can do things. And I worked from like one of my last Black Fridays. I remember I worked from midnight until like 3 p.m. I was so pissed at my boss and the person that was supposed to replace me. It was absolutely ridiculous. But no, I'm December 1st. Play it all you want. I'm not going to listen to it because I hate it and I don't like the music. I don't have like a problem with it necessarily. It's just, if I'm going to listen to music, I want to enjoy it. And for those of you that have heard like the intros to these shows the last couple of weeks, we've done Metallica every week. Like that's my style. And I know I mentioned just a little bit ago that, you know, I do like Rush. So, you know, I like them. You know, 80s classic rock,
It's okay.
2000s alternative. They're not one of my favorite bands, but like if Tom Sawyer comes on the radio, I will listen to it. Or yeah, I will listen to it if it's on. It's not on my iPhone or my Android. It's, you know, it's just a song that if it's on, I'll listen to it. But
I think I inherited my mom's disdain for Rush because she hates the living shit out of them too.
Good for your
I didn't
mom.
realize they were that polarizing. I thought that was like a relative.
I feel like they're pretty polarizing.
I didn't realize that. I mean, I know there are like, well, Nickelback's not polarizing because everybody like hates
It's become
them.
just a joke now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Nickelback's okay.
Yeah, like I don't think they're bad. It's just a joke.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a line, like there's a line to where they become really, really bad though. Like there's an album called The Long Road. That's their last album. So that's the album before the album with Photograph on it. And that album legitimately sucks. And everything after that is like a punchline.
I probably only heard their hits. That's probably why.
Gotcha. I'm trying to think of like some other band that's like really polarizing.
Creed.
Creed. No, everybody hates Creed too. But I think Creed is hilarious because of that Packers video that's emerged with like the Photoshop faces of Rodgers and Bakhtiari. And Rodgers hates them so much that it's like
he
funny.
like jokes about them, but like he's like interacted with him on Twitter.
I kind of think that he like secretly likes them. Like it's like he kind of likes them.
Well, he likes 90s grunge music, doesn't he? So I feel like Creed would be like
Crows and
yeah,
and shit like
yeah, Pearl Jam, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like something that he would like, right?
It might just be a repetition thing, Jacob. Like when I worked in Woodman's, right? My job was to go around, scan things, put them in a basket, take them to the back room, get it ready for them to come pick it up. When I first started, I walked through the door and I heard Too Much Time on My Hands by Styx.
I love that song.
Right? Oh, I remember the playlist from your work. Yep, because Dick's Sporting Goods
it was the first. It was the first time I've heard that song, and I went, "All right, that's an all right song, whatever." 4 days into my job, I've heard the song maybe 18 times, and I was like, "I'm going to slap whoever's in charge of the music here." And let me tell you, I worked there for like a year and a half or something, and by the end of it, I was listening to it on my way home. I loved it. I love that song. So you might just have to rock Christmas music for a straight month, hardcore. Just listen to it, and then at the end, you might like it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you got a daughter now. You're gonna have to.
If she likes it, then I change my opinion on what she likes. So, granted, she's 1, so she doesn't have a ton of opinions on stuff.
See, I understand like your reasoning for liking it, like because you hear it like excessively. Like I worked in a warehouse for 8 years, and every single day the radio would be blaring throughout the warehouse, and it was always set on some of the same radio stations every single day. So it would play the same classic rock over and over and over and over and over again. And I love classic rock, but I can only handle so much Guns N' Roses. I can only handle so much Journey. I can only handle so much of that shit over and over.
Journey, you mean like none?
Oh, shut your mouth, okay? Wheel in the Sky, Separate Ways, great songs, okay?
I also love Love and Touch and Squeezin'.
Yeah, Love and Touch and Squeezin' is a great song.
Oh God, I love that song.
I hear "Don't Stop Believing" or "Any Way You Want It" like 50,000 times. I get sick of it. Or Axl Rose.
That's the other one of the problems. Yeah, that's the other one of the problems is the radio, especially the classic rock radio stations. They play the same. Like if I hear Motley Crue on a classic rock station, it's always Kickstart and they don't play any of the other songs. And
I
there's
hear girls sometimes.
really, I don't.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't. But if I listen to the modern rock stations, they play the other songs. Which is strange.
If they played like some like the lesser known stuff by some of these bands, then that would be great. But they just played the most mainstream hits, and it just kills it.
So Zach, since I'm on I wanted to ask you this off air, but I'm going to ask you on air now. Best concert song by the Crew. Concert song. So live.
No shit.
I think there's only one answer.
Uh-oh. Zach looks nervous.
He's trying to read him. He's trying to read him right now.
Yeah.
Home Sweet Home?
Oh, you know what? That's the other acceptable answer.
That's my answer, because I feel like that's something that I won't.
Shout at the Devil is my.
Oh well, okay, yeah, that's a good one, yeah.
I think that's like their anthem.
I sang that in my car on the way to work so many goddamn times.
It's the first song I taught my daughter how to sing, and now if she hears it and they say shout, she'll go like this. She'll like throw her fist in the air. So,
oh my god,
yeah,
that's got to be our intros one of these weeks.
I thought about asking you to do it tonight, but it's kind of hard. So.
That's what she said.
I'm doing it to myself now.
Phrasing.
All right, we are way off the rails, guys. It's prediction time. Packers Bears Sunday night 7:30, and we're at 90 minutes. So let's make this quick. I'm going to say Packers 31, Bears 20. I think the Bears are going to be able to do some things and slow down the Packers a little bit, but the Colts slowed down the Packers a little bit, and they still scored 31 points. So I think Green Bay scores in the 30s, and I think they limit Chicago, and Mike Pettin tricks us all into thinking that this defense is competent, and we'll all be really confident going into a December playoff run, knowing full well that when the playoffs hit, the Packers will probably lose in the playoffs because their defense sucks. Erin?
I'm going to go Packers 34, Bears 16.
Wow, bit of a beatdown. Zachary?
I got Packers 38, Bears 17.
Wow, you guys are going blowouts. Llama, man, I know you're picking the Bears, so.
Yeah, I might surprise you here. I think the Packers' offense biggest friend is actually going to be the Bears' offense, because I think they'll be facing a really worn down defense because they don't sustain drives. I would say Packers 23, Bears 10. I don't think it's going to be close. Unless they come out and they stop looking like a peewee football offense, I'm going to pick Green Bay here, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is one.
Yeah, it is Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, let's just keep it. Let's just pretend that's true. Yeah.
All righty. And then, of course, our guest of honor who stuck with us. I'm still not 100% sure why or how for all 90 minutes, but you're a good sport, Llama. We appreciate you. Where can we find? Well, do you want to wait till after the game on Sunday maybe to tell us where to find you?
No, it's perfectly fine. It's at JDizzyD. You can catch me every week tweeting out pictures of Aaron Rodgers in a Bears jersey just to get reactions, and it works every time.
Whatever that's worth.
Yeah,
it works flawless. You should see some of the DMs I get. But,
I love reading the replies to that tweet. Just how angry people get. It's so funny.
Listen, Llama, I will say this because you cannot hurt me. We just talked about it earlier. I watched my boyhood hero wear a fucking Vikings jersey. I cannot be hurt. I am numb to it at this point. So,
yeah, I can understand that.
So you find him there, and obviously we'll be sharing. We need more gifts of Jay Cutler with a cigarette. I don't understand why they're so hard to find on Twitter.
I agree. I started a petition, and I'm making sure that that's going to become.
You let me know. I'll sign that and create several burner accounts too.
Absolutely. I'm still waiting on Jay Cutler to DM me back on Instagram. That hasn't happened yet. But it'll happen.
What a pile of shit. Jay, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, this dude, there is nobody that supported you more. And I am very confident in saying that. I've only known him for a year, but I was
burned on the stake for years for defending that man. I want to DM back.
Greatest quarterback in the history of the Bears, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no question.
Without a doubt.
And I'm not even saying that as a smartass. Like, I'm actually being serious when I say that. Like, I mean,
we miss him. We miss him very much.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you guys go. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Illusion of Complexity. We will see you guys next week. Hit it.